Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Friday night show live. Hope you're all doing well. And after a venture down to the pub and a few pints, you get a bit of honesty. And I'm going to be talking tonight about Ruben Amorim, what next, amongst many other things. It's Friday night. We do it a little bit more different, a little bit more raw, a little bit more closer to the bone. And one of the questions I get asked the most whenever I see people is, do you think Amorim will succeed? So I'm going to talk about whether I think he'll succeed this season for the 2 months left, next season, what I think will happen, and also long term. I want to talk about that as well. Also, I want to delve into the word patience. I think that patience works both ways. I think some people are impatient, but I think some people are toxic patient, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. Although I will say this, I see a lot of people talking about Jason Wilcox being the best thing that's ever happened to Manchester United. Why? Why is Jason Wilcox the best thing that ever happened to Manchester United? He might be, but you don't work at Carrington. Oh, because he's signing another young player. Is that not Fivel's job? And also, should we not wait and see after, he's only been here a year, But people want to be overly positive too quickly, I think. And also, but I do think patience is needed as well. Also, I want to talk about the summer. I genuinely think we're going to see quite a shock exit this summer, and it won't be Rashford. I'll talk about that. And also a little bit, if we get time, somebody messaged me this week saying, have you seen the Ronaldo Salah stuff? Could we do a few United past and presents? And I've been given the three. Bruno versus Scholes, Mazraoui versus Gary Neville, and Carrick versus Casemiro. So we will do those three and any others you want to throw up as well. It is Friday night, of course. And also, I'm going to show you, if I remember, obviously we've got a bit of a new background. I'm changing it all the time. I think I'm quite happy with how it looks at this level, but I've done some work on the stand-up. When I stand up for matches, it was always a little bit bare at the top. I've added another tier. Like a stadium adds another tier, I've added another tier. So yeah, let's remind me to show you that as well. Something's different. New haircut, Marks as Parker. I've had him a haircut today. That happens every 3 or 4 weeks. Yusup's gifted a membership. It is Friday night. If you're in a generous mood and you want to gift memberships, Friday night's the night to do it. 80 million for Ekatike, Mark. Check the tweet. I really don't want to do transfer stories. It's Friday night. I've been down the pub. I don't want to do transfer stories. And also, if I'm being completely honest, which I will be after 3 pints, and I've got a glass of red on the go, there's too many people I've never fucking heard of suddenly coming out like ITKs. There's a guy I've never bloody heard of, and he keeps getting retweeted all the time. He's got 5,000 followers on Twitter, and he's a source that aggregators are using all the fucking time. And I'm like, why? Why? I just don't get it. The story people are talking about is that Ekatike is available for 80 million quid. But look, we can do that on the morning show. It's Friday. We've all had a hard week. I just want to do something different. I want to be a little bit more of a football community, because it can't always be shitty little stories on social media. And I'm tired. I don't know where about you. There's people who are telling us what's going to happen, who told us this year what's going to happen and got proved wrong off a spreadsheet. They literally gave 30 names and got none of them right. And they're doing it again. And everybody's retweeting them. And there's a guy with 5,000 followers on Twitter I've never heard of. And people are retweeting them. And I'm like, no. If it ain't Ornstein and it ain't Romano, shut up. I'm not interested. I'm bored. I'm actually bored of it. I'm bored of it. I'm bored of being told what's happening, but from people who don't know what's happening. And I'd rather do this. Man like Drunkbridge. I have got my new set. I'm celebrating. Hey, do you like the shirts? Goldbridge and Cantona. What a front two that would have been. Never happened. Who do you think was the best manager? I'll come back to that. I want to talk about Amorim. Okay, so Goldbridge predicts Amorim's future. This is the question I get asked the most, and by all means, get involved in the chat. I get asked this all the time. If I see someone on the street, family member, friends, and I mean that, like, you go out for a drink with your friends, they're Villa fans, whatever, they will say, what's going on with you lot? Do you think Amorim will be successful? Get asked it all the bloody time. And probably don't answer it in an honest way. And I thought, you know what? Let's bring it into a United Stand show. Is Amorim going to be successful at Manchester United? Well, look, my feeling is that there is no better manager out there for Manchester United at the moment. I mean, there probably is, actually. If you gave Sean Dyche these players, he'd probably grind out 12th. But we want to be in the top 2 in England, competing for titles. That's where we were for a long, long time, and that's where we need to be again. And I think that Ruben Amorim was certainly on Manchester City's radar, and therefore he is a top manager. I think we have a manager that is, in the modern game, capable of being one of the best managers in the world. He's taken on an incredibly difficult job, and Ralf Rangnick, Erik ten Hag, Jose Mourinho were all capable of being the best managers in the world at Man United and failed. So just because we've got the right guy doesn't mean he's got the right club. So straight away, I have no concerns about Amorim as a manager. I think he's the right manager. I like the way he talks. I like the way he plays when he can do it. Do I think he's going to be successful at Manchester United? Well, the cop-out answer is it depends on what happens with this ownership and how they decide to run the football club. Because if you give Ruben Amorim what Man City gave Pep Guardiola, then yeah, I think he'll be successful. If you give Ruben Amorim what Liverpool gave Klopp, then yeah, I think he'll be successful. If you give Ruben Amorim what Arsenal have given Arteta, I mean, look, £100 million for Declan Rice, then yeah, I think he'll be successful. And success for Man United at the moment would be top 4, by the way. Like, getting into the top 4 would be deemed successful based on where we are at the moment. So I think those things go hand in hand. Do I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers are intending on backing Amorim the same way Man City backed Pep? No. Do I think they're intending on backing Amorim the way that Liverpool backed Klopp? I don't think they can. I don't think they can generate the Coutinho money to do it. Do I think they've got £100 million to go and buy Declan Rice or someone like that? No. So straight away, I don't think he's going to get the backing that even Ten Hag had or Jose had. And let's bring it back to our own club. Erik ten Hag had, what, 600 million quid? I mean, look, we overspent on a lot of players, but he had about 600 million quid. I don't think Amorim's going to get even half of that. I really don't. I don't think Amorim will get £300 million spent on him in the next 3 years. I really, really don't. So he's going to have to do it in harder circumstances than Erik ten Hag, and Erik ten Hag failed. But people would quite rightly say, well, you're not answering the question. Well, you answer the bloody question then. Why is it always me? Will he be successful at Man United? You can't just say, well, it depends on the owners, because then you're sitting on the fence. Will he be successful at Manchester United? You've got to take a punt. I think we're going to win the Europa League. I think we're going to win the Europa League. So Marvin AM says, how won't he get £300 million? Marvin, do you really want to start tonight? I'm ready, mate. Bring your weapons. Let's go. I've got a shield and I've got Thor's hammer. I'm ready to hammer you into the ground like a mole, mate. Have you seen that game that you get at like fun fairs where the mole keeps popping out the hole and you bash it down? That's you, Marvin, sticking your head up, bash. Where's he getting £300 million from? Well, I mean, Marvin, look, I respect you, mate, but where's he getting £300 million from? How can you ask me, how won't he get £300 million? I'll tell you what, I'll take that question and I'll deflect it back. How is he getting £300 million? Bloody hell, Marvin. Why did you choose the stupid card? How won't he get £300 million? How the bloody hell will he get £300 million? What are you talking about? Have we won the bloody lottery? Marvin, what year have you woke up in? What's happened that we don't know? Marvin's got some breaking news. We've got 300 million quid to spend. Marvin, come on. He ain't getting 300 million quid, is he? Come on. He ain't. But I think we're going to win the Europa League. Are you with me? Are you against me? I think we're going to win the Europa League. So, therefore, in the short term, I think success. So I'm going to tell you a story. I think we're going to win the Europa League. But I'll give you the alternative. This is my prediction for Amorim, right? We win the Europa League, it puts us into the Champions League. That gives us revenue. That gives us hope. That allows us to do a few things in the summer transfer window that allow us to grow. And that could be a half-decent striker, a half-decent midfielder, a half-decent wide player, and a half-decent centre-back. And that Europa League win allows us to do that and keep what we've got and move on Rashford. So 4 players come in, we move out the shit, and we win the Europa League. Next season, get ready for it. I'm predicting success. There's 3 stages to this, and you can all predict it. And if you're not watching live, get in the comments. There's 3 stages to predict. What happens this season, what happens next season, and what happens long term. So, Act 1, I say we win the Europa League. We then go into the summer transfer window and bring 3 or 4 half-decent players in. Next season, we have Champions League football, but there's a big but here. We're not prepared to play Champions League football, and we're not prepared for the reality that we finished in the bottom half of the Premier League. So I think we win the Europa League. Everybody thinks we're saved, like we did when we won the FA Cup last year. We've saved ourselves. We've had a horrible season and we've saved ourselves by winning the FA Cup. Everything is going to be all right. No woman, no cry. Oh, no woman, no cry. Yeah, no, it won't be okay. Actually, the Europa League will save us to a certain extent, but it will kid us in another way, because we'll win the Europa League and everyone will forget we finished in the bottom half of the Premier League for a reason. And we'll have a few good signings and we'll go into next season with hope and joy. Oh, comfort and joy. And then like a rabbit in the headlights, we'll be blinded by the reality of the big fucking truck that's coming towards the rabbit. And we'll be like, shit. And I think next season will be hard. I think next season will be very, very hard, because the Europa League win will kid us into a false sense of security that we're back. And then we'll go into it next season. The Premier League will still be really difficult. The Champions League will be there. And I think we won't be prepped for it and we will struggle again. Not as much as this season. We won't finish in the bottom half, but I think we'll finish sort of 6th, 7th and crash out of the Champions League and be fighting again for the Conference or the Europa League. And that's where we'll be in a year. So I think we will win the Europa League. Everyone will go, hey, we're back, we're back, we're back. And then this time next year, we'll be 6th or 7th, not back in the Champions League, going, fucking hell, we need to sack Amorim. And that's where I think we'll be in a year's time. In long term, that doesn't mean Amorim gets sacked, by the way, because I won't be saying it. I've predicted it. Long term, so I've done 2 of the 3. We'll win the Europa League at the end of this season. We'll struggle again next season and finish 6th or 7th. And then in the long term, we'll stick with Amorim because INEOS won't want to sack him. And we will... I can't predict any longer than that. I don't know. But we'll stick with Amorim and... Look, it's really difficult to predict the next 2 months, and I've done it. It's really difficult to predict next season, and I've done it. To predict beyond next season, come on. It's virtually impossible. The only thing I will say is, who is vulnerable? If we're going to win the Europa League and then drop off again next season, who's vulnerable? Man City, only if they get the charges, and they might be back. You know, even if Man City get the charges, they'll be back in 18 months. Probably stronger than ever. Liverpool, I don't know whether they're going to drop off. They've got a lot of good players that are going to be there for a while, even if Salah, Van Dijk and Trent go, and they've got money. Arsenal, very young squad. Arteta doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. Chelsea, very ambitious. Newcastle and Villa, very, very ambitious. So I don't know. I don't see where the vulnerabilities are for United. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me get into some of your comments. Lots to talk about tonight. Let's have a swig of this. Actually, just while I'm doing that, let me just show you the stand-up. I've changed the studio a little bit for stand-up. Rob Always United has just gifted 5 memberships, by the way. Absolute legend. There's a new shelf for stand-up. It was always a bit bare up there, wasn't it? Look at this. Look at that. when we're doing the stand-up now, it's got its own shelf that you can't see when it's sit down. I've generated a studio within a studio. So that top shelf there only gets seen when I'm doing standing. I'm well happy with that. I'm really happy with that. And also, there's drinks on the top shelf as well. So, you know, it's sort of like that. Yeah, brilliant, isn't it? I like it. I like it a lot. But I'm not going stand up tonight. No. Bring me back. Thoughts on new right wing back that's been offered a contract, says Adem. I'm getting mixed. It's not Kakonki, is it? It's Mantata. Mate, look, I don't watch the youth, so I watch them occasionally, but what I will say is I know a few people who do watch the youth, and they're very, very excited about it, about him. I think he's going to get a 4-year contract. There's talk about him having a game for the first team before the end of the season. I mean, look, this is all you need to know. You don't need to be one of them people who spend all their life watching the youth team, because until they play first team football, it doesn't matter anyway. But from people who do watch the first team, I've heard the words Saka. He's like that sort of player. So yeah, Mantato is the player, Shah. Yeah. But there's a few people to watch. I mean, there are a few people to watch, but until they make the bridge to the first team, that's all. There are a lot of good players there. Rob Always United is saying good comment from Patrick. Well, get your comments in. I mean, I'm enjoying the show tonight. Probably because I'm 3 pints down, but also because I just want to do something different that's not talking about fucking God knows who telling us this is going to happen in the transfer window. It's weird. It's almost like the rebirth of the ITK. Seems to be people just turning up and getting retweeted by aggregators I have actually quite liked. There's a few aggregators on X that I actually follow. I'm thinking about unfollowing them. I don't want to name the people's names because it sounds like you're bullying people, and I don't want to do that. But fucking hell, they don't know anything and you're retweeting them after Ornstein. Patrick Lynch says, to succeed, Amorim needs a lot of dominoes to fall into place. The first being the Europa League. My fear is that INEOS won't even pay out for a Domino's pizza. Yeah, well, look, if you tune in a bit late, I've predicted what will happen this season and next season with Amorim. I'm predicting we win the Europa League, everybody gets excited, and then we get a massive reality bite next season and finish 6th or 7th. Which will send us back again. So 1 step forward, 1 step back is what I'm predicting, which is pretty in tune with what United do. But Patrick makes a great point, and a lot of you've said it. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? I'm talking to me. What if we don't win the Europa League? Well, honestly, if I'm saying we're going to win the Europa League and then we're going to drop off next season, what happens if we don't win the Europa League? In a way, it could be better for us. And people will go, how can it be better for us? I think if we don't win the Europa League, we will sell Garnacho. I've heard things, but I'm predicting it. And I like Garnacho. And I defend Garnacho, and I get a lot of shit because of Garnacho. I like Garnacho. But if we don't win the Europa League, we're going to have to do something ridiculous because we won't have any money. So I think if we don't win the Europa League, we will sell Garnacho. I don't think we'll sell Mainu. And we will go into next season in absolute despair and turmoil. It will be not very nice. But in a way, I think that could make us match what will happen next season anyway. I think we'll win the Europa League, be like a rabbit in the headlights and finish 6th or 7th. But if we don't win the Europa League, yes, we'll be hurt financially, but it might motivate us a little bit to finish 6th or 7th. So I don't actually think there'll be a massive amount of difference if we win the Europa League or not, other than we'll probably slightly overachieve with a crappier squad and underachieve with a better squad if we do win it. So I don't think I really fear that even if we win the Europa League, we'll have a bad season next season. because I think the reality of the Premier League is there. We finished in the bottom. You know, the biggest justification I can give for this is that if I said to you, why have we finished? Well, we're not finished yet. But if we finish like 14th, 13th, 15th, why? Why? Has anybody asked this question? Because I did it a couple of days ago. If we finish in the bottom half of the Premier League, why have we done it? Get in the chat. Why have Man United finished in the bottom half of the Premier League? Because we're going to. It's embarrassing. Why have we obliterated our worst ever Premier League points total and finished in the bottom half of the Premier League? Why? Have 6 of our players had cruciate ligament injuries? Have we had a points deduction? Have we had a massive injustice that's cost us? Why have we finished in the bottom half of the Premier League? And my answer to it is because that's where we deserve to be. And I don't see next season as going from 14th, 13th, 15th to 3rd. I just don't. I think we are where we are because of what we are. I see us massively improving next season, but I think 6th or 7th is probably what it's going to be. Since it's Friday night, do you think based on our recent matches that the squad is improving? I might be in the minority who thinks they have. No, Andre, you're not in the minority. You're in the majority. I genuinely think we're getting better, and I think we will get better. And I think, as I just said there, going from 15th to 7th or 6th is a big, big improvement. It's not where we want to be. My concern is that would probably be, well, that would quite rightly be seen as a huge improvement, but I don't know. I don't think is the right word. Regardless of Amorim, and going back to what I said 20 minutes ago, if you're going to give Amorim what Man City gave Pep, or Arsenal gave Arteta, or Liverpool gave Klopp, I think we can be a top 4 team. If you're not going to do that, I don't think we can be a top 4 team no matter who the manager is. I don't think it matters who the manager is. I think Amorim can take us to 5th, 6th, 7th. I don't think he can take us top 4. I don't think anybody can take anybody top 4 without major investment. And people will go, well, look at Nottingham Forest. But will they be there next year? No. Not unless they spend a shitload of money. They won't be there next year. You know they won't be there next year. They've basically done a Leicester without winning the league. So I think Amorim will definitely improve us, and I think we definitely are improving. But if we're not going to bring in quality, then I don't see us getting anywhere near the top 3. We absolutely are getting better, says Jace. We don't get battered like we used to, and I genuinely see something better in the middle of the pitch. Up front is actually my concern. Right, well, I do agree with you, Jace, because I actually think defensively we're quite good. I do. I've said that for a while. We're not Liverpool good. We're not Arsenal good. But defensively, we're not that bad. Luna says, love the Dublin show. See you again. Thank you very much, Luna. Zavian, age 6, just overheard you and says, I don't want to sell Garnacho or Mainu, says Red Devil Girl. Neither do I. I don't want to either. But I'm just saying, if we don't get Europa League, I can see it happening. If Forest can do it, so can we, says Keel. There's always somebody in there that doesn't listen. Would you sell Garnacho for Frimpong plus Trincao? Jordan, you're an arse. I mean, you are presenting a deal that I would like. I would like Frimpong and I would like Trincao, but you shouldn't sell Garnacho to do... Actually, I already know my answer. Just have a sip of water. 10 o'clock, you wouldn't have even got me. 8 o'clock on a Friday. Right. Would I sell Garnacho for Frimpong and Trincao? I like Frimpong and Trincao. Some of you are saying yes. Prats. Absolute prats. What have I told you? Right? Why should I sell Garnacho to get Frimpong and Trincao? Will Liverpool sell Alexi McAllister to get a couple of players? Will Arsenal sell Odegaard to get a couple of players? Will Chelsea sell Cole Palmer to get a couple of players? Why are Man United selling first-team players to get a couple of players? How's about we stop playing bloody debt interest? That's the real answer. Why should I sell Mainu or Garnacho to get a couple of players in when there's a bunch of prats in America coining off debt interest out of our football club every year that would get me Frimpong and Trincao, and that's why people are bloody protesting. No, I fucking won't sell Garnacho to get Frimpong and Trincao. Screw your bloody heads on, prats. Thinking like that, you may as well walk around with a Glazer hat and a Sir Jim face. This is what's wrong with this fan base. I'd sell Garnacho to get Frimpong and Trincao. The Glazers must be knocking one out listening to that. Do you not know what's going on at this bloody football club? Why would you sell a player to get players in when you're doing it because you're justifying that it's okay to spend tens of millions of pounds on debt interest every year because we'll just sell a first team player to buy people? Absolutely not. Absolutely no. Will ruin Ruben's legacy by not giving the right players and buying young potential profitable players and the players that and not the players that we need now, says Anders. Exactly. Thank you very much to Patrick Lynch. Done that one. How good do you think Amorim is with developing young players? Sounds like we're only signing young players. Very good. Very good. I mean, he's had young players at Sporting. Man United's all about that. I think development of youth was spoken more about with Ten Hag, but Amorim's good at developing youth. He'll be fine. Are those acoustic panels for you or the family? Says Nick P. They're for you, you prats. I'm not going to bloody pick them up and take them in the garden. They're for the studio. Happy we have a manager like Amorim in the situation we are in, says Aidan. He's up and coming. I'd be even more depressed if we were 15th with Pochettino, says Aidan. Last few games we're looking like a top 8 team, says Parker. Mate, you're talking out your arse. So who are you throwing out the top 8 that we're better than? I'm not. No, mate. I ain't letting things slip tonight. I'm not messing around. So M Parker says we're playing like a top 8 team. So in the top 10, in the top 11, you've got Brentford, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Brighton, Newcastle, Man City, Chelsea, Forest, Arsenal, Liverpool. Mate, you're talking out your arse. We are doing better, but you can't disrespect Brentford, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Brighton, Newcastle, Man City, Chelsea, Forest, Arsenal and Liverpool. We are not playing at that level. We're not. We're maybe playing better than Chelsea at the moment, but it's very competitive. We are doing better, but we're not a top 8 club. Yeah, we're not. He said last few games, but we're not a top 8 club at the moment. Brentford are winning all over the place. Villa are doing very well. Brighton are doing very well. Newcastle are doing very well. Man City, well, I don't even put us in the same category as Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool. Forest are third. The only club I think in the top 10 that we could argue we're doing better than at the moment is Chelsea. And actually, when you look at our last 6 games in the Premier League, 2 losses, 2 draws, 2 wins. It's not actually better than anybody in the top 8 apart from Chelsea and Bournemouth. So we'd be 9th. If you think we're better than Chelsea and Bournemouth. Luna says, I love the Dublin show. Great crack. Sorry if I heckled from the crowd. There was a great atmosphere about the place. Hopefully see you again. Mate, if you watch the live show, Usup and Carl McAdam have gifted memberships, by the way. If you watch the live show back, there are people in the comments complaining about the noise in the crowd. I've done Dublin 4 times now. Dublin is different to Manchester and London. They do shout and heckle. So I was used to it. Oh my God. Oh no. Red Army's back. This could be anything. Absolutely anything. Red Army is, well, if you know, you know. I'll read it because it's Friday night, but I'll tell you now, it'll be a load of shit. Reason you want INEOS to fail is because they'll get United winning titles, which goes against the toxicity this channel has created towards the club. Yeah, absolute knobhead, mate. Why do you bother? Why do you even bother? You obviously don't watch the channel. You're obviously some twat from Twitter, aren't you, who doesn't watch it? I mean, I don't even know where to start. So, I absolutely love the high blood pressure. I absolutely love the misery of supporting Man United, and I want it to go on for another 10 years. That's why I back Ten Hag. That's why I back Amorim. That's why I back most of these players. Yeah, I want us to do well. But you're a knobhead, mate. Fuck off. Brian McDonough says a digital scoreboard would look good above the definitely maybe picture when you're standing, especially if you could then have it update automatically. All right, Brian. The budget won't stretch that far. Shaquille says I'd sell Garnacho. Has the Nippon rumour died? Says Gamer. Yeah. All I'd say about Nippon is I was told in December that was a goer, but he hasn't gone anywhere else yet, has he? I'd love to see Andy Cole mentor Sancho and Rashford. Oh, God. Brandon said that was Kiel. I said a few months ago the ownership wanted us to be like Brighton, buying youth cheap and selling them high. Their statement this morning confirms that. We are a bank account, not a club. Look, we're run by businessmen, whether people like it or not. Do you think we'll spend big if we win the Europa, says Nav? I don't think we can spend big. Even if we win the Europa League, it sort of gives you 80 million, but 89 million has got to go on transfers that we've already bought. The debt interest is there. So we're not going to spend big anyway. That won't happen. We'll spend more if we win the Europa League, but we won't spend big. Any news on Ahmad? Love the video, says AJ. End of April. Patrick Lynch is back. Says people forget Forest did invest heavily the year they got promoted. Weren't they flirting with trouble on FFP? They got a points deduction last year. It's what is needed to go up the league, says Patrick. I will always say this. You need to spend money to make money. Rads, welcome to the Members Club. You need to spend money in football if you want to win things, definitely, yeah. I want to get into some of these either-ors. Bruno or Scholes, Mazraoui or Neville, Carrick or Casemiro, and anything else you chuck at me. But I did want to just talk about this. Obviously, we've spoken over the last couple of days about Ugarte and the crap that he's had. No patience. I don't think patience. I think that the current Man United regime, the Glazers, fronted by Sir Jim, are trying to shovel patience down your mouth. Like, look at the pictures of the stadium that we don't know when we're going to build it. We're buying youth because it's cheap, because we want to build a team for the future. If they buy the 6 best 18-year-olds in the world, we're not winning the league next year or the year after. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So even if Man United sign all the best young players that are going to be Ballon d'Or winners in 5 years' time, we won't win the league for 3 or 4 years. So everything they're selling you is years down the line. They are selling you patience. I don't think patience exists in this fan base. I really, really don't. And I think that's a bad thing. I think we have to be patient to a certain extent. Not as much as they want us to be patient, but there has to be some patience. We have been patient with Amorim. He had a really, really bad start and it wasn't his fault. So patience obviously does need to exist. And some people won't allow it to exist. But there is also the flip side to that coin. We have toxicity and we have positive toxicity. And what I mean by that is the people who are just so desperate. And somebody mentioned this on the 2 o'clock show. Some people are just so desperate for things to get better that they latch onto anything. Absolutely anything. You know, it's like the guy or girl in the nightclub at the end of the night who wants to just get something. And as the night goes on, their standards drop and drop and drop and drop, until at the end of the night, they're trying to cop off with the cleaner. And that is just the mentality of some people. Some people will just accept defeat, go and get a kebab, go home, a bit of Netflix and a wank. Some people won't. They will go, I would rather just grab whatever I can and say I pulled. And that's just society. That's just people. That's where I sort of spot a little bit of toxic positivity around Man United. Yeah, I don't like the people who are taking a pop at Ugarte and everything like that. But I also don't like the people who over over positive about things that are clearly shit. And that can be like, well, look, I said it at the start of the show. I think a lot of people today have been on social media telling us how great Jason Wilcox is. And my answer is why? What about Jason Wilcox is amazing? And it's the same people again who told us that Murtaugh was pulling a madness and that Sir Jim was going to buy the whole club by 2026. It's the same accounts. It's the same people. And why is Jason Wilcox the best thing that's happened to Manchester United? He might be, and I hope he will be. But why is he? They want the future now. They're stating the future now, and they set themselves up for a fall. Because in a year's time, they'll be saying it's the worst thing that's happened to Man United. And the reality is, we're developing youth. We're signing young players. But it's Jason Wilcox. And I sort of like go, but is it because he's got a British passport? Why is it not Fivel? Oh, look at Heaven. Look at Lasali. Look at Obi. Look at this player that's coming through. Oh, Wilcox is pulling a madness. But why is it not Fivel? Why is it not Amorim? You know, why is it Wilcox? And this is what I mean. It's this toxic positivity of they're just latching on to stuff they've got no idea about. And I want Wilcox to do well. I want Barada to do well. I actually want Sir Jim to do well because it's the only hope we bloody got. But you get the people who write off Agate and slag him off and give him nicknames. But you also get the people who see Dorgu play twice and say he's a baller. And the truth is, we've got to be patient. You've got to be patient with Wilcox. You've got to be patient with Dorgu. You've got to be patient with Agate. And you've got to be patient with Amorim. Because it's the only choice we've got. So you can have the people who make their minds up really quickly and slag people off. But you also get the people who make their minds up really quickly and glaze people. And actually, if we've learned anything from the last 10 years, don't jump to conclusions. I remember the first season with Bailly, Mkhitaryan, Zlatan and Pogba. And about 6 months into the season, because we were doing the United stand then, best summer we've ever had. Probably better than any summer Sir Alex has ever had. Mourinho is the GOAT. We've never had a summer like that. They're all ballers. Best summer transfer in our history. Zlatan, Bailly, Mkhitaryan, Pogba, they're all ballers. They're absolutely amazing. 1 year later, that summer was fucking shit. They're all rubbish. Fucking rubbish. And this is what I mean. Stop rushing to conclusions and take your time. Because I know it, I lived it. Well, that was, after 6 months, that was the best summer we've ever had in our history. After 18 months, it was the worst. And we don't know what's going on at Man United. We do need to be patient. I'm not waiting 5 years for a stadium, by the way. And I'm not waiting fucking 5 years for kids to turn into a first team. But it ain't happening in 5 months either. And it's not happening next season. There has got to be a level of patience. Mark, are we still looking at Davies? I heard he suffered a knee injury for Canada. No. Has he not signed the deal at Bayern? Are you talking about Alphonso Davies or are you talking about Jonathan David? Staffy says Frimpong, Gyökeres, Ahmad, Heaven, Kuna, Mainu, them. Why have you named current players with transfers? You can't do that to a guy that's had 3 pints and is halfway down a glass of red. So Frimpong, Gyökeres and Cunha. I mean, mate, Staffy, if you'd just done that, I'd have gone, give me some skin, brother. Give me a high five. 100%. Mate, I'm not shy. I've said this before. My dream signing this summer transfer window is Cunha. I want Cunha from Wolves. And whoever gets him, I'm jealous. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, whoever gets him, that's the player I want. That's the player I want. But I don't think we'll do it. John says, if next year is another failure, Amorim may leave. Well, look, I don't want I wanted this show to be about my prediction. You can do your prediction. As I said, I think we'll win the Europa League, but next season I don't think it will go very well. I think we'll be like rabbits in the headlights. The interesting thing is this time next year, Amorim's only got a year left on his contract. So if next season we finish 6th and we're not back in Champions League, do you give him a new contract? And this is what I mean. I don't like his length of his contract. I'd rather it was a 5-year deal. Glazers got ridiculously lucky because it was easier to get into the top 6 for us not too long ago. Now that basically every team in the top 15 are a challenge, their past failures have caught up, says Jace. Absolutely spot on. The degradation and, top poisoning of United is killing us. Mateus has been a member for 28 months. Great show as always, mate. I don't even care how many people watch the Friday night show. It's the real show. It's the show where we do what we want to do. It's what a fan community is all about. I mean, I could have done a video about, some fucking idiot on social media who doesn't know what they're on about says we're going to sign Sesko. But I like actually just doing shows every now and again that are a little bit more what it should be about. Just chatting away about things that actually we're interested in. You doing any FA Cup watch-alongs? Yeah, I'm definitely doing Brighton and Bournemouth games, which is Brighton Forest and Bournemouth Man City. I'm not doing Preston Villa. I might do Fulham Palace, but that's on That's Football. Rads React says, evening Mark, I've been watching since the Moyes days. You haven't. You definitely haven't. I've caught you out straight away as a liar because I didn't do Moyes days. We started in Van Gaal. But I'll let you off. He says, evening, Mark. Been watching since Moyes days. Part of breakfast, lunch or tea. We love you, Mark. We love that you're real and authentic and your analogies are the best. Remind me, Lee Mack and his quick with comedy genius. Well, the comment is absolutely brilliant. And I really do appreciate that, Rads. But I wish I'd done Moyes' season, but we actually started in 2015. So I didn't do Moyes' season. I think if I'd done the Moyes season, we'd have 3 million subscribers, actually. Because the Moyes season... I wanted Moyes sacked in September. He didn't go till March. I remember us losing a game. Maybe we drew it. It was like September, October. If you know this, you're a bloody oracle. I remember we might have got a draw out of it, but we were losing at home at Old Trafford under Moyes in the September or the October, and I think it was Crystal Palace. And I think we either lost or he got a late equaliser, and I was like, sack this dickhead. We used to call that a 10-2 pull, says Paul Govier. Hope you're doing well, Paul. Jackie says, I used to like Red Army and found him funny. I remember the days I thought he was Harry Maguire's brother. Yeah, he's become very toxic. Riker says, I've been thinking about whether Bruno is our Steven Gerrard. He was a legendary player in their worst period. What are your thoughts? I mean, Gerrard won him a bloody Champions League, didn't he? So if Bruno can do that, I'll take that. Talking about legends in the chat, Howder's here with a super chat. Since you were drinking, what's your honest opinion on Ekitike and would you compare him with? Cheers, mate. My honest opinion on Ekitike is that I think that if he went to Newcastle, he'd score a lot of goals. So I actually said this week on That's Football, if I was Newcastle, I would consider cashing in on, because Isak's going to go at some point, whether it's this summer, next summer, or the summer after. So, in fact, I tell a lie, Isak's going to go this summer or next summer. So Newcastle are going to lose Isak at some point. So it's about, can you replace him? I genuinely think if Newcastle sold Isak for 120 million and bought Ekitike, they'd make profit and get a striker that can do a good job. I mean, I know he's not... It's so hard doing content these days because I always get attracted to the stupid comment. So Guy Fawkes says, Ekitike is nothing like our Isaac. And what's that got to do with the price of bread? Did I say he was an identikit Isaac? What I'm saying is, if they sold Isak and they brought Ekitike in, I think he would score goals at Newcastle and be a good replacement. Even if we win the Europa League, I see us in Europe only alternate years since we won't go far in the Champions League. Our level is the Europa League. That does us any good. So Sid T. Well, you know, yeah. Cunha, Semenyo, Frimpong and Isak would get us third, says Frank. You've ruined it with Isak. We won't get that. Mohammed says, I think Premier League has fallen off. La Liga has more world-class players. You're a troll. Mark, we are not 9 players away from winning a league. We're about 3 or 2. Oh, God, Olmo, what's wrong with people? What? Like, seriously, get to your doctor. I know it's Saturday, Monday morning, first thing, ring up, go to the doctors, take a screenshot of that, and you will get help. What are you talking about that we're 2 or 3 players away from winning the league? Idiot. Absolute fucking idiot, mate. I'm sorry. It might be a joke, but you are an idiot. There was a good comment in there. What was it? Yeah, it was Sid T. Even if we win the Europa League and get in the Champions League, I think we'll be flip-flopping out. Right. Think of it like this. If we win the Europa League, to get back in the Champions League next year, you've got to finish in the top 5. If we don't win the Europa League, to get in the Champions League next year, we've got to get in the top 5. It's the same thing. Hold that thought. It's a good one. If we win the Europa League or we don't win it, if we want to be in the Champions League next year, we've got to get in the top 5. I don't think we'll do that next year. I don't think, even if we're in the Champions League next year, we won't be in it the year after. I don't think we're good enough to get in the top 5 next year. It could happen, but I don't think it's anywhere near. I agree with that, Sid. I think we are going to alternate in and out. For me, there's only 3 clubs that are going to consistently be in the Champions League from the Premier League. Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal. The other 2 spots, if we get 2 spots, I mean, we're saying top 5. It might not be top 5 next year. I think is always going to be up for grabs. So, as I said, even if we win the Europa League, I think a lot of people will go, yeah, we're saved. I don't know. The reality of... And look, that's not being negative. Some people would say, oh, you're just being negative. That's not being negative. That's actually being complimentary. I think if we win the Europa League and everyone gets really excited, it could be really dangerous for us. It would be like Amorim winning his first 6 games. It just plasters a big wound. Like, if we win the Europa League, we're not saved. We've still finished in the bottom half of the league and got in through the back door in a shitter tournament. There is still a shitload of work that needs to be done. I want to win the Europa League. I think we will win the Europa League, and I think we need it. But if we do win it, it might mask some of the problems that will be there in 4K next season. If Amorim doesn't do well next season, they might just terminate his contract, says Jackie Boy. I hope not. Ross McRae Magician said, I hope you're doing really well, mate. Some fantastic super chats tonight, by the way. Fair play. Some of you obviously aren't drinking. What do you think about the studio, by the way? I've added those shirts in behind. I've got the new shelves. I hope you like it. Smash a like if you do. Ross McRae says, took Barada from City and say we were to sign some of their former academy players. Are you bothered if we have more connections to City at the club? Mate, honestly, beggars can't be choosers. I would like to not be taking things from Man City, but we're shit. So, you know. Just want to see United doing great again. Amorim needs time and the players he needs, and hopefully all will be good. Good football and players with character. Truly believe Amorim is a great coach, says Tyrese. Look, I've said it so many times. Some of you will be too young to know what it's like to compete for a title every year. Some of you will be too young to know what it's like to know that you play the best football in the league. Some of you will be too young to know what it's like every weekend to expect to win. I would love you to have that. I would love to have that again. I mean, obviously, part of me goes, well, you've had it for nearly 20 years. You know, you can't be greedy, but I am greedy. Why can't I have it? I don't mind Man United not winning things if somebody's better than us. But what I find inexcusable is that we've actually been put into this position by bad owners. We've got no chance. Like, we can't even be competitive. I I couldn't remember whether it was Moyes or Van Gaal. Been that long watching. It's been a minute. You saved us all from the PTSD daily. We've been rubbish for so long. You're our coping mechanism. Rads, you're a legend. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Is that a no then, says Smoggy? To what? And Manny says, if we win the Europa League, I feel the pressure will be off for some players that would be nervous today, says Manny. Thank you very much. If we win the Europa League, I feel the pressure will be off for some players that would be nervous today. No, still don't get it. What if Amorim doesn't renew his contract, says Andre? I mean, that would be a big up yours to Manchester United, wouldn't it, if that was to happen? Just trying to see if Smoggy put something in that I've missed. You can't see it. No, I can't see it. No, what is it? A no to what? Because Chess has just said it now. Don't know what that's all about. Right, quickly, I need to go. I actually intended to do this. I'm so annoyed. Completely ran out of time to do this bit. I don't think it will mask anything, to be fair. I think that Ruben understands where we are and what it actually takes to get us back to playing winning football, but we need Champions League football, says no. Look, we will never get a chance to talk about this again because basically we're going to be back playing games every 3 or 4 days, basically in 3 days. We'll never get to talk about this until it's too late. But if we don't win the Europa League, we don't get Champions League football, and that sends us into a financial unknown, oblivion potentially. If we do win the Europa League, we go into the Champions League, and that gives us 80 million quid at minimum. But that's financials. The reality is we're still in the bottom half of the Premier League. And next season, just because we won the Europa League doesn't mean that we suddenly leapfrog Bournemouth and Brighton and Newcastle. So next season will still be really, really hard, and we will still be pretty vulnerable, I think. Next season is a challenge beyond anybody's sort of comprehension, really. It could go bad. Liam, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Olmo is back again. Right, last one I'm reading, and then I'm never reading one of yours again because you're full of shit. This manager is just as bad as Moyes. Take off the blue tinted glasses. It would be red tinted glasses, mate. I don't support Chelsea. Larouk, welcome to Members Club. Appreciate that. Smoggy, we still don't know what you were talking about. I was going to do some either-ors because the whole Salah-Ronaldo debate sort of went through the international break, didn't it? And I was going to do, like, Bruno Scholes, Mazraoui, Neville, Carrick, Casemiro. But there's no point doing them because I won't have time to go through them because it's 9 o'clock. Suffice to say, Scholes is better than Bruno. Neville is better than Mazraoui. And Carrick is better than Casemiro. If it was Real Madrid, Casemiro, it would be a different answer. But Manchester United, Carrick against Manchester United, Casemiro is Carrick. Manchester United, Neville against Manchester United, Mazraoui is Neville. And Manchester United, Scholes against Man United, Bruno is Scholes. It's as simple as that. But I wanted to get more in depth on it, but I'm obviously not going to get time. Liam, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Missed a lot of chats, Mark. No, I didn't. Went through them all. Marco, went through them all. Double-checked them and went through them all. Thank you very much. Real Madrid, Casemiro had Modric and Kroos next. I mean, Michael Carrick is one of the most underrated midfielders in English football history. 100%. Winning Europa will give owners excuse not to sign players as they'll think we're competitive, says Anders. And we're in London. Why didn't you go, says John. Yeah, it's Friday night, people. I seem to have a bit of a shit magnet. I mean, bloody hell. I'm glad I'm not 19 going in a club because God knows what I'd be going home with tonight. I'm reading some right shit in here. I I think Carrick is one of the most overrated midfielders, says D. Yeah, enough of the internet tonight. How do United get back to the top in your thoughts, says Staffy? It's a great question. I wish you'd asked me about half an hour ago. How do Man United get back to the top? Well, they need to stop making cuts and stop figuring out how to build a stadium and start focusing on the pitch. But unfortunately, we are run by the Glazers and Sir Jim Radcliffe, who all their lives are about making money. And that stadium is going to make money. And that's their obsession. The regeneration and stadium is all they're bothered about. And the success on the pitch costs them money, whereas building that stadium makes them money. And I think that's all they're interested in. And people can pretend that's not the case. But look, all we're getting about the team is cheap and young. And all we're getting about the stadium is best in class and 100,000 and Beyonce concerts. They're willing to spend $2 billion on a stadium to make it best in class. But when it comes to the football team, cheap and young. The priority is not the pitch. The priority is off the pitch because they're business people. So if I was trying to make Manchester United successful, my priority would be building a team on the pitch, which could start tomorrow. It's not going to take 6 years to build a team to win the Premier League, but it will take you 6 years to build a stadium. But the priorities are different because we're run by business people. So if I was saying, how do we fast track Man United being successful? Well, we need to spend money. We absolutely need to spend money, and we need to get some experience into that team. How do you do that? Won't happen under this regime. So the best chance for success was a Glazers sale, a clearance of the debts, and owners coming in that want to be successful on the pitch, which we don't have. We don't have. We don't have it. Sen Lemens is a great goalkeeper, Mark, says LaRue. We spoke about him yesterday. Daniel Thomas says, what does Gary Barlow think of our season so far? Well, he doesn't think it's absolutely fantastic, does he? Although he might do as a Liverpool. Absolutely incredible, Mark. Absolutely fantastic. How do United get back? We've done that one. Right, my wine is gone. My energy is gone. It is time to go. But I will be back tomorrow to talk more transfer stuff because that seems to be what gets the views. No, I'm only joking. It's Friday night. Hopefully a lot of people are out having a good time. Thanks everyone for watching. I really enjoyed the show tonight. I hope you have as well. Christened the new studio. If only our stadium could be built so quick. And we will speak to you on the next one. I mean, the best thing about the studio tonight is that the audio is better, which is just why I've been wanting to do this for about 6 months. So I'm glad it's off. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to go live on my own channel now in the kitchen and keep drinking. No, I'm not. I will do that one day, but not tonight. Take care. Stay safe. And we love the Friday shows. It's for the hardcore. I hope you've enjoyed it. Speak to you all in a bit.